And believe it or not, a 15-year-old teenage girl gets her ass handed to her by a ghost demon. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I like to watch movies. What do you get when you create a successful standalone horror story with a neat ending that kills the main antagonist, and the studio tells you to make a sequel? Because money, money, money. Daddy needs his baby quiche. Will you figure it out? That's show business, baby. The Black Phone was a surprise horror hit of the many that came out in 2021. And because it made an absolute killing at the box office, Blumhouse was ordered to make a sequel, baby girl. Screenwriters Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargyle returned for The Black Phone 2, with Derrickson directing, of course. The film would see Ethan Hawke's The Grabber return from hell to murder a now 17-year-old Finney and his 15-year-old sister Gwen. The result feels like an icy cold hybrid of Friday the 13th Part 2 with A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. If you know, you know. Is this movie good? No. Does this movie feel like a cash grab? Also, no, I think it's pretty good. With some serious challenges in their way, I really believe that Derrickson and Cargill made something really entertaining to watch. This movie has homages to all the classic horror films, and it makes it feel just familiar enough for you to be like, okay, I'm on board for whatever weird things happen next. And while the pacing leaves me wondering why we are moving through pivotal scenes so quickly, the surreal nightmare logic is enough for me to go, you know what? Who cares? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. It keeps you locked into whatever the heck is happening on screen, much in the same way the Terrifier movies do. But what I'm not loving is the fact that there are so many characters in this movie, and yet not a lot of blood is spilled. No. And it leaves something to be desired, especially when you make the Grabber a demonic child murderer who's haunting people's dreams a la Freddy Krueger. There is not enough nostalgia in the world to make me not realize that this movie is so focused on making a cohesive story that it just forgets about its characters. It does sacrifice pacing, character development, and all the other things that would have made this a really good horror movie. Still, The Black Phone 2 had some moments that really got my ass, so let's talk about them. Also, if you're new here, hi, hello, how are you? I always have a drink of choice when I'm doing my little recaps, which are going to be spoiler heavy. This is your warning. And because this movie takes place in the cold and it looks frigid, I decided to have some beautiful chamomile tea tonight with a lot of honey in it. I was gonna do English breakfast tea, but I currently don't have milk. Have you ever put almond milk in your guys' black tea? Because it is not good. It tastes pretty bad. Hell yeah, brother. We open on what is probably the most scenic phone booth in all of America. A teen girl is making a phone call to a number that she saw in her dream? Okay, clairvoyance. Yes, a little Lorraine Warren, I see. She is on a phone with a caller that we cannot hear, we cannot see, and she is stressed city. Hello? Hello? Baby, I can't hear a thing. I ain't got no service in the club, you say. Now, what is this phone call actually about? We'll get to that later. Time jump. It is 1982, 4 years after the events of the Black Phone. The world is still bleak, but it's the 80s, so it's a bit more capitalistic. If you don't remember, Finney had murdered the Grabber in the last movie and escaped, and his sister found a bunch of dead bodies. So, how do you think they're doing? Not great. Finney is beating up a kid who asked if he was the one who killed the child serial killer, because he is. And that trauma is repressed. He said, what if I just beat the living crap out of anything that reminded me of this intense trauma that I have? I don't want to talk about my feelings. I'm a teenage boy. His sister Gwen, on the other hand, is Piss City Central. She's like, can you get yourself together? Like, what are we doing here? This is giving tomfoolery. It's giving burnout, because guess what? He's smoking weed to cope with his feelings. Gwen still has the foulest mouth on this side of the Mississippi, but she has a cool little cunty haircut, and I love that for her. What's more 80s than that in a puffer coat? Nothing. She also has a crush on Ernesto, and they have so much in common. They both love Duran Duran. When I was writing the script, I was trying to think about a Duran Duran song, and I was like, oh, Girls on Film. Girls on Film. And I was like, what other Duran Duran songs are there? And then I forgot they sang Hungry Like the Wolf. What other songs does Duran have? Duran. call me by my legal first name, Duran. My last name, Duran. I don't know enough Duran Duran songs, and so I cannot say they're meant, but good for Gwen and Ernesto. Let them kiss to Duran Duran. So Gwen is doing a pretty good job living a normal life for the most part, but Finney is in Tough City Central. Like I said, coping with repressed trauma, he did murder a man. But he's also still getting phone calls from dead people. What do they want? I ain't got nothing. And to make matters worse, he's seeing visions of the grabber's ghost. The ghost grabber, if you will. Also, Gwen and Finn's dad is there. He's sober. He's doing good. He's not being his child anymore. We love to see it. Things are going, I would say, okay. I would give it a 7 out of 10, honestly. Unfortunately, that doesn't move a plot forward. No. Conflict does. Gwen's having a dream, and you could tell it's a dream because it's filmed in Super 8, where she sees a child be murdered in the woods. Interesting. Gwen wakes up from her dream of child murders, and she's like, oh, the telephone is ringing. But it's not the telephone in the house, girlfriend. No. She opens the front door and there's just a telephone out there beckoning for her to come to it. Finney, wake your sister up because she's dreaming. That's right, a dream within a dream. And we know she's in these dreams because it is also shot in the Super 8 style. And that's called visual language. The next day at school, Gwen is just trying to read her little occult books when everyone's making fun of her for being a witch. Everyone laughs at the witch until one day you decide to buy a spell from an Etsy witch that can either kill your enemy or get you pregnant. But you know who doesn't judge Gwen? Ernesto. And you know that gift giving is his love language because he's getting her tarot cards, he's getting her Duran Duran tickets, and then he reveals that his brother was Robin, one of the kids who got picked up by the grabber in the last movie. Like, why are you gonna mention this to her now? After you got her Duran Duran tickets. And I think it's kind of wild to be like, hey, I want to date you because you found my dead brother. Yeah. Anyway, night 2, let's get another dream. Gwen has a dream about another child dying in the same woods, and she's like, what is going on here? Boom, wake up. It's still a dream within the dream. Gwen hears the phone ringing, and she's like, let me go actually follow it. And guess where that phone's ringing? In the basement of the grabber's abandoned house. Turns out Miss Gwyneth is on the phone with the girl from the cold opening. Unfortunately, the call is cut short when the ghost of the grabber's brother appears. And he's like, hey, you should probably leave. And she's like, why should I leave? And he's like, well, the grabber's coming down the stairs, girl. He is still passionate about killing kids. That is his hobby. That is his job. That is what he stands on. That is his business that he is standing on. He's gonna kill Gwen. More on that later. Luckily, Finney is there and he's like, Gwen, wake up. I don't want to be here. You shouldn't be here. Let's go. And before we leave the scene, I just want to shout out this reference to Carrie. I saw this and I said, oh, iconic. You don't really ever see that homage. You always see the hand homage, i.e. Until Dawn 2025. Go watch that video if you have not seen it. But you never get the iconic Carrie White is burning in hell. That is for the real ones. She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Gwen is putting the pieces together in her mind. She's like, 1 + 2 = 3. There's a bunch of murders happening at a winter Christian camp. Right, okay, so how do you know this? And Gwen is like, oh, because the woman on the phone told me where she was, and it was at a winter camp in the mountains, not far from here. Finney's like, okay, and why are you gonna believe this random woman? And she's like, oh, because that random woman was our mother. If you forget, in the first movie, we hear about their mother. She also had the same kind of prolific visions that Gwen and Finney both have. They inherited it from her, obviously, genetics. And she ended her own life. Finney doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Understandably, he did kill a man. But Gwen is determined to see this through to the end. And Ernesto's gonna go with her. So no Duran Duran concert? Reluctantly, Finney joins his sister because he is a good brother. After arriving to the camp in a literal blizzard, the boys and the girls are separated because you have to leave room for Jesus. It's the third night of having nightmares, and Gwen is being immediately bullied by children. There is a third boy there now who looks like he is burned to a crisp, and he grabs her arm and she's like, ow, And they're just yelling at her and they're backing her into a corner and she's like, what is going on? I'm terrified. Luckily, Finney breaks in and he's like, okay, you are sleeping with the boys tonight and we are gonna keep you safe. That means she gets to snuggle with Ernesto. Yeah! And they almost kiss. And I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I love teen love in a movie. This makes me so happy. The next morning, we do get some lore dump. The camp has been snowed in, so everyone at the camp is trapped. The big reopening has been put on hold. Now, why was the camp closed, you ask? Oh, because 3 children died at the camp a few years back, guys. Come on, keep up with the program. We also get to meet the rest of the characters of this movie, which includes Armando, who is now like the camp leader. What do you call it? The camp supervisor, a cowgirl named Mustang, and then 2 camp employees who are like performative Christian. What do I mean by that? I mean like they criticize everything you do because it's not in line with their perspective of morality. And they're like, oh, you're gonna burn in hell. Have fun burning in hell. It's night 2 at the camp and you better believe it, Gwen is having another nightmare. But this time, the boys are ready. Ernesto runs to go check on Gwen, while Finney goes and deals with that ringing phone booth. Yeah, interesting. The one that's been out of order for the last 10 years? It's ringing, girls. And guess who's on the other line? It's the Ghost Grabber, and he is Piss City Central. He is the conductor at Piss City Central, let me tell you. Not only is he mad at Finney because he forced him to kill his brother, don't think that's true, but that the fact that Finney got away. He was the one that got away by Katy Perry. But now that he remembers who he is in the afterlife, he's like, oh, so now I'm gonna kill you. But before I do that, I'm gonna make you suffer by killing every single person you love, including your sister Gwen. Oh, so yes, girls and squirrels, the Ghost Grabber is essentially reheating the nachos of Mr. Freddy Krueger, and I don't care. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Like, I am a stan. I love it. Yes, I love New Nightmare, I love Dream Warrior, and I love the first one. And guys, guess what? I'm gonna say it. I like the remake, to be honest with you. I also watched Dream Child recently, and let me tell you guys right here, right now, that is the most pro-Reagan, most anti-abortion movie I have ever seen. That's just like, God is good. And I'm like, is he? I don't know about this. But the movie does have an Akira kill in it that just kind of like makes up for whatever happened in that movie. It's crazy. All this to say is that Gwen is in danger, and Ernesto cannot find her. Gwen has followed the dead children into the camp kitchen, and she's looking around at the multiple ovens that are just ablaze and all these dark shadows, and she's like, what's going on here? And then the Ghost Grabber comes out of the shadow. He's like, oh, I baited you here because I'm gonna kill you. And believe it or not, a 15-year-old teenage girl gets her ass handed to her by a ghost demon. Ernesto is still frantically looking around in the dark, and he's like, Gwyneth, donde está, baby? And he wakes up the rest of the camp and he's like, I can't find Gwen. They're all in search for her, and when they walk into the kitchen, they find Gwen levitating in the air. They're not doing anything to help her as she's getting flung across the room by the grabber, and then the grabber is about to toss her into one of the ovens when Finney walks in and he's like, what are we doing? Somebody help her. Luckily, Finney saves her, so conflict avoided, I guess. Okay, so roundup time. What do we know about the situation? 1, the grabber's back, and he is attacking Gwen in her dreams. Solution: we just watch Gwen every time she goes to sleep, and we make sure she doesn't die. Because famously, if you die in your dreams, you die in real life. 2, how do we deal with Ghost Grabber? Well, obviously, we have to find all of the missing boys, set their souls free, and that will solve the problem, I think. Luckily, Gwen has been dreaming about the boys all being trapped under ice. Armando, who has been searching these grounds for the last 20-ish years, is like, oh, I know exactly where they would be then. Yeah, they're gonna be at this one specific lake. Now that everyone knows the situation we're in and the plan of attack, it is time for night 3, girls. Gwen falls asleep and ends up having a dream about a boy who was murdered in the first movie. Psych! The person who's actually having a dream about the little boy who went missing in the first movie is Gwen's mom. Okay, interesting. Using context clues from her dream, Gwen's mom gets up and goes to the grabber's house without telling anybody and finds the missing child in the basement? What was the plan? Of course, She gets grabbed by the grabber and put into the van, and then the ghost grabber comes out to see Gwen just standing there watching the situation unfold in her dream. And he's like, hey, get in the car. Get in my van. You know, it'll be fun. Girls trip. Gwen is like, I'm not getting in that van. I'm not gonna do it. I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh, come on. It's my one act of kindness to you because of course I have to kill you. Them just the rules, girl. And she's like, kindness? What do you mean by that? And he's like, let me show you that I killed your mom. Yeah. I don't really know if showing a teenage girl that you killed her mom and then having her watch her dad's reaction to finding her mom's body is like the gift you think it is. It's so bad. Then the ghost grabber is like, hey, so that was my gift. Time to kill you. Gwen is trying to escape, but Ghost Grabber is being a dick and nicks her with his axe. In the real world, Ernesto sees that she is bleeding from her arm and he's like, okay guys, time to wake up Gwen. The gang is trying and failing to wake Gwen up as she is running around trying to escape the grabber who is now bullying her in the scenic phone booth that is on ice. She is flying around and spraying blood pretty much everywhere. Things are not looking good for Gwen as she is trapped in a phone booth in her dream. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. This is my dream too, bitch. Why can't I have powers? That's right. Gwen becomes a motherfucking dream warrior. And just like Dream Warriors, this movie is gonna forget all the rules it has established and just do whatever the fuck it wants. And you know what? Sure. Before Ghost Grabber retreats in the dream, he's like, what if I push Armando in real life into the ice after he just found a dead body? Because I guess now the grabber can just interact with anybody in the real world? The logic is not logicking, and that's okay. Gwen wakes up and she's like, we have to save Armando. And they do. And the man doesn't have hypothermia. Okay, sure. And we found a boy, so there's only 2 more boys to find. The snow is melting, and guess who just showed up? It's Finney and Gwen's dad. He showed up because he was really afraid of relapsing and just wanted to be with his children, and like, can you blame the man? Unfortunately, he shows up just in time to see how much shit has actually hit the fan. He's like, okay, we should go now. And Finney's like, I love that idea. Let me get my bag, let's get out of here. Gwen, however, is like, no. We're gonna unpack all of our trauma right here, right now. She's like, Finney, why are you pissed City Central? Like, what's going on with you? Are you upset because of A, you were kidnapped, B, you murdered your kidnapper, or 3, all of the above? I couldn't think of a third thing. And Finney's like, the answer is C. I'm angry because I have all these emotions, and I'm sad, and I'm terrified, and I'm upset that it happened to me. Like, Jesus Christ, I lost my friends. I lost my childhood. And I just want to take a moment to shout out Mason Thames and his like deliverance of this monologue in this scene, because guys, I was crying in the theater. When's the last time a horror movie made you cry? And the reason I cried is because I actually do feel really bad for Finney, because he just wants to be a normal kid, but like any sense of normalcy has been stripped from him against his will. Okay, so Finney has unpacked his trauma. Dad, it's your turn. Turns out he experienced addiction to alcohol because he did see his wife's death and he was like, oh my God, it's my fault. Luckily, Gwen saw the whole situation thanks to Ghost Grabber and his kind gesture. And she's like, it wasn't your fault. She was murdered. No evidence, no proof, just the word of a dream demon. Gwen's trauma is that she also wants to be a normal girl, but she's plagued by dreams that make her feel like she's crazy, but she's like solving all of the problems. I think the trauma comes from the fact that her dad beat her because she was having these dreams. But she is starting to see that these dreams are her superpower, so like, I guess her trauma is also resolved. Right, we did it, gang. Moving on. It's officially night 4 and Gwen is ready to duke it out with Ghost Grabber once again. After a long day of looking and not finding any of the other 2 dead bodies, Gwen is like, I'm gonna go to sleep right here, right now, so I can dream jump into the lake and find the bodies. Again, makes sense to me. Unfortunately, the Ghost Grabber is now an ice skater, grabber on ice. As Gwen is swimming under the ice and finding the 2 other boys, the grabber is just like bullying the shit out of everybody. He is dragging people around. He is pushing people into the water. He is like, let me fight everyone. And then it dawns on him, oh, I can interact with people. I could just kill Finney here and now. Why haven't I been doing this entire time? Luckily, Finney is like, oh hell no, I am not dying again. He's like, I killed you once, I will kill you twice, let's fucking go. He ends up interacting with the dream demon and just starts like kicking his ass. And then because of Gwen in her dreams, she's pushing the dead boys' bodies up to the surface and they're grabbing on to the grabber in the dream and he is stuck in place. When she climbs out of the water, she's like, this is the end. And I'm not sure exactly the logistics behind it, but Finney holds the body of the grabber while in her dreams, Gwen ends his life. That means the entire time Finney is just like bashing an invisible thing around while in her dream she's like, Finney, thank you so much for your support and your help. You are the best big brother I've ever had. Thank you so much. Again, there's no logic, but the vibes are immaculate. It's incredibly confusing if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, so don't think about it. So everyone's safe. Not a single person got hypothermia and not a single person died. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have 9 people in this movie and none of them are gonna die?
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
As the gang is packing up to leave camp officially because they are not staying, they complete their mission. They're like, I know we signed up to be camp counselors for the winter, but like, not anymore, girly pop, sorry. The phone booth starts to ring again, but Finney doesn't hear it. Now what's this about? Gwen does hear it and she picks up the phone and guess who's on the other line? It's her mother. Gwen's mom tells her that she's so proud of her for using her powers for good, and then tells her that heaven is beautiful. And this is where I tell you that this movie has some weird undertones of religion that aren't really fully realized or fleshed out, and I don't know what they're doing here. It has no thematic purpose, and I don't know why we're talking about it.
I mean, let me ask the audience.
As everyone's driving away, Finney gets in the truck with his dad, and he's like, you know that Ernesto? Not a bad kid. He loves Duran Duran. Cut to credits, The Black Phone 2. Folks, I enjoyed The Black Phone 2. I thought it was really fun. Is it chaotic? Yeah. Does it make a lot of sense? No. But she has ambition, and I love that. I like that this movie could have been a cash grab, but it's not. It is something entirely different. It does that thing that like some of the most iconic slasher films in like our cinematic history in America do when they have a sequel, where they essentially just make the sequel some batshit loony thing that is like so far removed from what the original film was. I'm thinking of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Gremlins 2, I'll think of a third one. But for a movie where your main antagonist is dead and you don't have a lot of conflict just sitting there and so you have to be creative about it, I think that Black Phone 2 did something really great. I think they understood the corner they were painted into, found a way to get out of it, and then made something that is schlocky, yes, but pretty good. And I think that has to do a lot with the actors who are really selling the holy bejesus out of this movie. And they have to, because these characters don't have that much depth to them. I think the only characters that are properly served in this movie have to be Finney and Gwen. Not only do they have to like grapple with their gifts, which are just like an allegory for generational trauma at this point, but they also have to cope with their like actual real life trauma in real time to overcome this thing that's come back to haunt them. And their dynamic is really great too, because like no matter what they're up against, they're always gonna believe each other and support each other until the very end. And that's what you want from like a brother-sister dynamic in a movie like this. They just want to protect each other, and that's like the most sibling shit you could ever see. Yeah, they want to protect each other from like the demonic child serial killer ghost haunting them, but then you also have things of like Finney interrupting a kiss from Ernesto because he's like, am I pretty? Say I'm beautiful too, bitch. And also, I just kind of don't know what this movie is trying to say. You know, horror movies are really great vehicles for like tackling thematic issues in the world, be that about like gender politics, be that about trauma, be it about like our relationship with capitalism or even religion. But I don't know what this movie is trying to say, because I think it's just so focused on having a solid plot and a cohesive story. I also can't get over the idea of a sleepaway winter camp. Like, is that actually a thing? Like, I have never heard of this, and I've never seen a movie about this. And so I just think it's so foreign to me, and I'm just like, okay, explain the concept. With all this said, I'm gonna give The Black Phone 2 a B-. Not quite the call you want, but I'll stay in the line for a part 3. If you do like campier horror movies just like The Black Phone 2, I highly recommend that you do check out Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. It is bananas cuckoo bananas up the max, but it is a really great time if you ask me. And then I would also recommend you check out Sleepaway Camp. It has the campier elements that are very much of this movie, and it also has some of the best one-liners and an ending that is extremely controversial. It also has some of the craziest kills you've ever seen in a movie. But that is all I have for you today, folks. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. I greatly appreciated it. If you liked this video, leave a like. It actually helps out these videos a lot, and it also makes me feel good. And if you also liked watching this video and you want to see more from me, go ahead and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that as well. And also let me know what you thought about the Black Phone 2. How do you think the Grabber should come back for the Black Phone 3? I hope they go to space. Actually, I hope that the Black Phone 3 is Grabber grabs Manhattan. That would be iconic. You can also follow me on socials like TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd. All those are in the description below. And until the next one, go and support your local theaters, and I will see you guys later. Bye.